underway with James Hunt, and expect some fireworks early on in this second half. So much at stake between these two sides. This is the game that matters for them all season. George Smibert with the first hit for Oxford University. This is the one they want to win. They play in their Midlands division of the Student Rugby League. They play in the British Student Athletics Cup. When it comes down to it, it's the varsity match that it's all about.
George Smibert in the first hip-up of this second half really signalled the intent of this Oxford side. They need to play with more passion, more directness, as we see Forrester doing exactly the same.
And immediately Oxford nailing their colours to the mast and trying to get the ball out wide again to the danger man Batstone. That's where they go every time. The threat he poses is a real danger to this Cambridge side. And Oxford on the charge. Again, great defence, and Paddy Hunt once more at the fore. Danny Seuss felt that. Just a little bit sluggish to get to his feet to play the ball.
Give 10, give 10.
Harold Buchanan with the kick. Ooh. Brewster all over the place underneath that one, but fortunately able to retrieve it. Let's just put this cake issue to bed, because Terry, not surprisingly, as he's wearing a Cambridge tie, favours the Cambridge cake. I think it's only fair. You've missed out on this. It's only fair that you have a quick taste of the Oxford cake as baked by Dr. Dom Hobart.
I'm a little bit disappointed, Bill, may I ask. I've only gone for a break, come back, Tez is eating cakes.
Well, you're not surprised though, are you?
Well, it's not so much of a surprise. He spends so much of his time eating cakes, but I've tasted it and I'm going for Dom's cake, the fairy cake. With no bias whatsoever. That's a beautiful cake. Bigger doesn't mean better, Tez.
So it's a draw. We'll call that one a draw.
No, I think you should have the deciding vote.
He's actually at 6 little 30 cakes though.
You should pick a winner, Bill. Come on.
Well, we'll leave that till later. We need a winner here tonight. It's 8-4 at the moment. Let's get some half-time news from Ben on the sideline.
Well, for a coach who's winning 8-4, Bill, John Evans not happy at all. He says that's the worst 40 minutes that Cambridge have played all season. So he's obviously wanting an improvement in the second half, particularly in the areas of composure and ball retention. As for Dan Garbutt, the Oxford coach, he's concerned about the defence of his side, particularly the marker defence. He wants them to cut out the errors. And the update on Josh Venner, he will not be returning. He won't be coming back in this game. That patella tear is confirmed.
Forster trying to find Batman, but Batstone is tackled. They were once again trying to get the winger away.
John Evans must have seen some really good rugby this year, because the way that Cambridge played in that first 40 minutes, they were aggressive, they were strong, they were playing rugby, they were doing the basics correctly. The kicking game did improve on from last year, so they must have played some fantastic rugby league this year.
Carl Schroeder plays the ball. Schroeder, a relative of St Helens prop James Graham, and in fact I think, well, certainly last year James Graham sent him a text message wishing him the best of luck, and I've no doubt that the same message was sent this evening. And Schroeder, in fact, playing with a plate in his, a metal plate in his left leg, I think it is. He broke that shortly after last year's varsity match. Here are Oxford on the attack with Matt Bray. Cambridge on the attack with Matt Bray, plays the ball.
I think Dan Garbutt's frustration at his markers is coming from the work that George Sykes is putting in. We won't see it for this set, but whenever Cambridge get the ball and they start that rolling ruck, George Sykes is coming up, committing the marker and putting his teammate right back in that block hole, getting those vital yards.
That's where Cambridge have been so strong. Look how slow the play the ball is from the Oxford side, because they're dominating in defence, they're turning the plays on the back, they're tackling in numbers. Look at the wrestle.
Yeah, Oxford struggling to make progress. Danny Seuss in his first varsity match stopped very quickly. So's Charlie Rowe on the field there for this Oxford side. This is his second varsity. Here's the big unit, Sam Whitehead. They've got some size out there of Oxford, as well as some pace on the wings.
And that's where the Cambridge players are probably targeting the size, probably hoping that they're going to get them off balance, because they're not, the movement's not as good.
A generous play on from James Child as Will Brewster seemed to knock that one forward.
But if you looked at the depth of the kicker again, how can his chasers be onside? It's 20 metres back.
Second.
Good run from Stetchman. There's Brewster fumbling that ball. So Cambridge once more on the attack. Looping pass out wide to Will Brewster. Brewster comes back in field. That's the fourth tackle.
Hold, go.
Rupert Wingate Saul, and then that's the fifth tackle as Bray plays the ball. Rupert Wingate Saul has to stretch for that. It's not a bad kick. Oh, and a mess between the fullback. O'Connor and Batstone getting in each other's way. And a knock-on gives Cambridge great position.
You've got to be dominant when you call for that ball. Both players going for the ball. Paul O'Connor losing it, but there's a right schmozzle at the back, putting them under all kinds of pressure. Batstone just focused on the ball. It was Paul O'Connor's ball all day, that at fullback.
So there's a great opportunity for Cambridge. Here is James Hunt, and Hunt will take them on himself. He's got exams first thing in the morning, but his mind is on this test here tonight. Ignacio Quintana, 2 tackles gone. Sykes, the ball over the top. It went backwards. Play on, says the referee. Comes back to Sykes. 3 tackles gone.
Hold, go.
Rupert Wingate Saul will pop this ball up, and Bray again on the charge, but this time Oxford shut him down early on. Sykes. Here's Rupert Wingate Saul again. Hunt shifts the ball on. Schroeder. Schroeder has got the man outside him, but chose to go himself, Carl Schroeder.
Move, go, play on.
They come back across the field. Oh, that was high. That was high. And that was Danny Seuss with the tackle. And that'll be another 2 points, I'd imagine.
A high tackle from Oxford here. It's Danny Zeus just reaching, lunging almost. The concern for me is Carl Schroeder in the centre. He played in the second row in the same fixture last year. Was very strong, good leg drive. I didn't notice him pass the ball last year. I think twice, once in the first half, and definitely on that last play. If he hands that ball onto his winger, it's try time for Cambridge.
This has surprised me, that Cambridge going for the penalty kick. They're already in front on the scoreboard. The field position definitely in this half has all been with Cambridge. And Cambridge are just sending on James Sherman again, so that's going to add a lot more impact. I'm a bit surprised by that. I probably would have gone for the play. They were putting so much pressure on Oxford then.
Keep the pressure up, but I think the closeness and tightness of this game starting to show, and they feel that 2 points is better than none.
So Hunt succeeds, and the Cambridge cheerleaders show their pleasure. These are the Cambridge Cougars, who are Cambridge University's official cheerleading team, and they are your authentic American-style cheerleaders, and a lot to cheer about for their side tonight as they increase their lead here by 10 points to 4.
It's all good stuff, Bill. All about inclusion, our game. Get them involved. I like their outfit. I think that would particularly suit my friend Terry. Although I'm not sure whether they do them in triple XL.
Paddy Hunt takes the tackle.
They need to be dominant here at Oxford. If they've got to get back in this game, this is where they need to try and force the error. Like that shot there coming up, Seuss again pouring his body on the line, trying to dislodge that ball. When you're defending, it's another form of attack. You've got to look for that ball. You've got to come up with a big shoulder. You've got to try and dislodge that ball. And all these Oxford players are trying to do something to lift the teammates.
James Sherman on the charge. He's doing his dad proud tonight. He said that's what he wanted to do, and he certainly is. Freddie Humphreys, another one who's worked hard for this Cambridge side.
Been really impressed with Sherman, Humphreys and Hunt. And Tez, you're talking about trying to get some dominance. You're not going to get it with committed runs, determination like those 3 players are showing.
O'Connor takes that ball. This time he was on his own, nobody to interfere with him, and he finds Batstone, and they've got him away again, but Hunt is across there, and Hunt makes the tackle. They're hoping to take him into touch, assisted by Carl Schroeder. but he's such a threat.
But he done better than to stay in Batstone. He knew that if he would have carried on and continued his run, the Cambridge players would have dragged him into touch, so he's probably learnt a lesson from that first half.
A weary Danny Seuss gets to his feet to play that ball. Ignacio Quintana with the tackle on Charlie Rowe. Rowe plays the ball. It's back with Will Locke now. Locke finds Phil Satterthwaite. Satterthwaite taking him on. He's tackled by Rupert Wingate-Saul. He's lost that ball. It's a penalty. It was stolen, says the referee.
Definitely ripped that ball. Just couldn't resist it, Will Brewster. There you see he's got hold of the ball. Tries to kid the referee. Good field position now for Oxford. Can they apply some pressure?
Back up.
It's the best field position they've had in this second half. Here is Phil Satterthwaite again.
First. Move.
Trying to crawl his way a bit closer to that Cambridge line. Here's Anthony Bradley. Bradley, legs driving towards the try line, and it's taken 3 of them to push him just back short of it. But Bradley virtually on the whitewash, plays the ball, and Oxford have made a terrible mess of that, and Cambridge have come up with it, and Hunt swoops on the ball to snaffle it for Cambridge, and then Hunt almost makes a mess of the play of the ball. He does. Oh dear, error following error.
Well, for the Oxford side, you felt that the closer they got to the line, the more it went against them. Here's the fumble. They're very, very deep at Oxford. Both sides are actually, and in trying to play the ball, I'm not sure that's a knock-on actually. But anyway, Oxford won't be complaining.
5 meters.
Let's see what they can do with it. They're very, very deep.
Oxford supporters finding their voice again. They're going across the field. It's with Hugh McCormick.
First. Move. Hold.
It's the first tackle. McCormick has just come on to replace Danny Seuss, and there's Quentin McFarlane. And McFarlane has knocked that ball off.
Scrum down.
So another error, and Cambridge will get that back, and that is a relief for the Light Blues. McFarlane can't believe that.
Losing the ball, going for the glory ball, going for the try, trying to get the Oxford team back in. There's not so much shape outside for the Oxford side. Apart from the long ball to Batstone on the wing, they've got to be more inventive. They've got to have more players running for the gaps, pushing up into that next hole, and trying to create something for the halfbacks. If I was...
Too long. Come on, go move. Need to see movement.
A penalty away here because they were lying on top of him. They wouldn't let the Cambridge player stand up on his feet.
McCormick late on the scene.
Do you know, if I was Dan Garbutt, I'd look at saying and say to my teammates, how are you going to get back into the game? Well, I personally think you've got to take the energy out of Sherman, you've got to take the energy out of Hunt, because them two players are making too much yards. They're pulling all the defenders in, they're taking a lot of energy out. And Hunt again, look, he's got 3 players wrapped up, he's trying to get up for the quick play of the ball, and Cambridge are playing off the back of that all the time. Here's the other one, Sherman. The Oxford players, I think, need to target them and make them defend, because that's what really tires you out.
Kick straight into the arms of Dan Whitehouse of Oxford. Big weekend for Student Rugby League this, of course, because you've got 2 student sides involved in the Challenge Cup. Loughborough away to Halifax, and promises to be some game at Headingley on Saturday when Leeds Met are at home to Rochdale Hornets. So 2 big Student Rugby League matches there.
You
well,
wouldn't bank
big
against,
games for student sides. Sorry, Barry.
Sorry, you wouldn't bank against Paul Fletcher with his Leeds Met side coming up with a victory against a
But here's
Rochdale
Pete
side.
Forster. Forster, gets it to Batstone. It was forward. It was forward. And Batstone is stopped anyway. But the pass from Pete Forster was forward. And a chance goes begging for Oxford.
And again, Forster coming up with the speed, getting on the outside of his men. But sometimes you've got to just get down, you've got to keep control of the ball, and it's the next player, because the Cambridge defenders are all that sees, they can't get back. Look at the determination on his face. But it's not that ball to Batstone. They play the balls there, Batstone on the next play. That's where Oxford were going to have more of a chance of scoring the try.
Go.
So big let off that is for Cambridge.
Move. Hold.
Stetchman to his feet to play the ball. Not surprisingly, the pace of this game is slowing down a bit.
Just having a look at the Oxford side, I'm saying they're very deep, but what they are as well, they're very lateral. They're almost running to the touchline. You think that a good line, a good drop-off, or something a little bit back against the grain could cause this Cambridge side some problems.
Hunt.
Outside, clear.
That's a good kick. He's found a bit of space with that one. All other kicks from both sides have been right into the arms of the winger full-back. Well, that one goes dead.
Well, it's still a good kick from James Hunt. John Evans will be happy with that because Cambridge have got the defensive line sorted. You can see it there. The referee, James Child, is hurled up play. So look, that is a condensed, tight defensive line, and look how they will dominate this set of 6. Get numbers into the tackle, turn the Oxford players on the back, thus getting the slow play of the balls.
Bradley to his feet to play the ball, the Bradford Bulls supporter. Cambridge doing just that, defending strongly as Phil Satterthwaite took that ball up, and now it's with Paul O'Connor. A darting run from the full-back, but still inside their own 40. And once more they go to that right-hand side and attempt to get Batstone away, but this time they're going straight up the middle with McCormick. McCormick, good run from him. Still going the loose forward. He had Dan Whitehouse alongside him. It didn't give the pass, but they're all stacked up now for Oxford. Smybert, the captain. Again, the direct approach. That's the 5th tackle. If Cambridge survive this, it'll be a big sigh of relief from the Light Blues. Buchanan's crossfield kick, straight up in the air. Batstone gets a shove right under the nose of the touch judge. And knock on is the referee's decision, and he gives Oxford head and feed.
The best result for Oxford there. Fantastic break. A kick that probably would have been better a little bit further down, but you're better too short than too long. Just look at this break here. It's Hugh McCormack, just puts the accelerator down.
Stay out.
Hands one off, hands another. He's looking for support.
And another error. Play on, says the referee, as Oxford knock it on. Then there was a knock on by Aaron Sonnenfeld, just getting to his feet, and it's George Smybert with the knock on.
You've got to make sure you concentrate, haven't you? All the pressure then, an easy ball to catch.
He wasn't expecting that, to be fair, Tez. He wasn't expecting that. There was 3 players in the vicinity.
But what have you got to concentrate on, Barry? You've got to concentrate on the man who's carrying the ball, and you've always got to expect it.
Of course you have, but from set pieces, set plays, you know, it's often 1 in, 2 in, and we'll set for this.
Every player is an attacking player when you have the ball.
That is what Oxford are doing.
Break it up, break it up, break it up. Come on.
They are setting things up instead of playing what's in front of them.
Hold, go.
That's why they're behind on the scoreboard.
Have you finished?
Play on.
I finished ages ago, then.
Cambridge on the attack. Play on, says the referee. Just 1 try apiece here. The boot of James Hunt has extended Cambridge's lead. We've only had 1 draw in the history of the university varsity match. That was in 1995, a 20-all draw. There's a potential for 1 here. A little chip kick. Oh, and it's into the arms of Batstone. You don't want to be doing that. He's come straight across the field and eventually is tackled by Brewster.
Hold. Go. Second. Move.
2 tackles gone for Oxford in this set of 6 as Whitehouse gets to his feet to play the ball.
It's the transition of Cambridge from defence to attack that's the most important thing. When they've kicked that ball, their emphasis on that first 2 or 3 tackles, restricting the progress of Oxford. And just like they're doing here, working that player over, 3 men in the tackle, gaining 2, 3, 5, 6, 8 second play the balls.
The pass from Harold Buchanan, a Boltonian Buchanan, and eventually the ball reaches Batstone out there on the wing. Humphreys gets a hold of him but can't keep a grip on him, and Batstone, looking for some open field, has lost the ball, and Cambridge will have it back.
0.
He made some yards, Batstone. Every time he gets the ball, he's so elusive.
And there's some very, very tired players out there now. There's hands-on heads and players with
Foot out, 17, come on.
breath frosting in the air in back play. It's a chilly night here at the Stoop, and a penalty for a high tackle. Bradley, I think it was.
Number 10.
Anthony Bradley, there's the grapple tackle. His arms, you can see, goes round his head. That's not allowed in rugby league.
Brewster having his features rearranged there.
Okay.
I thought for a second that Cambridge were going to kick for 2. They seem to be motioning over to the sideline, but I think John Evans telling his players, keep the pressure on, they're gonna buckle, they're gonna break.
Hold, go.
Certainly Cambridge can't breathe easily yet. They need more points on the board if they are to win this varsity match. They've been on the receiving end for the last 2 years. 38-10 last season, 20 points to 14 the year before. They're out for revenge tonight at the Light Blues. At the moment they're ahead, but only narrowly. Here is Paddy Hunt, and Hunt barges Harold Buchanan out of the way. Buchanan comes back to help in stopping Hunt. Right on the try line, Cambridge now. Slightly laboured play the ball. Matt Bray, 4 tackles gone. Right in front of those posts. Sykes. Wingate Saul pops the ball up. Ignacio Quintana takes the pass. The Spaniard plays it, and it's now with Wingate Saul, who'll just dab the kick in. Oh, and a knock on from O'Connor. That's all they wanted.
On the 10, guys, on the 10.
Another scrum, head and feed to Cambridge.
And this is where Cambridge are having a lot of joy, not with the high balls, but the short little balls on the floor. Paul O'Connor again making a mistake when that ball's bobbling and bouncing on the ground. But this Cambridge side, they've got numbers on the left-hand side, but they need to look up. The halfbacks, James Hunt and Wingate Saul, need to have a look up and see how tight the opposition winger, James Badstone's defending.
Cambridge scenting blood here. Schroeder taking on Batstone, but Batstone makes the tackle. Brewster with a darting run. 2 tackles gone. Bradley pinning him to the ground. Quentin McFarlane is there as well. Shearman works the run around. Matt Bray, 3 tackles gone. Sykes, this time they get the ball wide. Sonnenfeld, ball outside to Joe Pitt-Rashid. Play on, says the referee. The ball went backwards. Joe Pitt-Rashid retrieves that pass, and the move is still alive for Cambridge. Sykes, Wingate Saul now. Here is James Hunt. Hunt is quickly closed down, but Foster came out of his line quickly. But there was a shepherd, says referee Child.
Gone behind your own man, obstruction.
And Freddie Humphries, I think, acted only unwittingly.
He's coming in for the short pass, the nice smart line at an acute angle. That's what Cambridge have been so good at. But the numbers that Cambridge have on that right-hand side, their left, Oxford's right, is a worry if you're Dan Garbutt.
Come down. Scrum. Scrum down.
Oxford have failed to get the kick away.
Oh, it was Matt Stetchman.
It's a good job, Bill. 10 yards will do. When you're kicking for touch, 10 yards will do.
So Oxford get the ball back. It could have been very costly. Here's Hugh McCormick. He's got some strength as the Oxford loose forward. Up to the 40-metre line. Here's Bradley. Bradley driving forwards, not for very long. They're going for the big guys. Here's Paddy Boyle. They don't come much bigger than him. Paddy Boyle following in the footsteps of brother James, who also played in this fixture. That's forward, and anyway, Pete Forster couldn't take it. And the errors mounting up here. The tiredness, I think, is contributing to that.
And just a simple play, trying to catch the ball. He just didn't look at the ball, and he looked up at what was in front of him. Saw that Schroeder was there. He was coming in, looking to make that tackle, and just losing the ball. Oxford have got to start building some pressure. It would have been an easier set of 6 then to target the Cambridge big guys. As I said, a nice little neat kick and try and force the error in that next set.
Dan Garbutt, a pretty unhappy coach there, knows his side have squandered any number of opportunities. 14 handling errors from his Oxford side, which is double the handling errors made by the Cambridge team.
And I bet you the majority of them have been in this second half, and they always seem to be that when they get down and the opposition's 40, they come up with the error. And then it's not as though they're looking for the big play. They're looking for a player to get on the outside of Cambridge, but it's just not working. The guys aren't either expecting the ball or the word of the guy who's going to pass them the ball.
Matt Bray on the charge. 5th tackle. Needs to be a good kick from Rupert Wingate Saul. It ricochets, and Forster trying to pick it up. Oxford have it back.
I thought all the kick chase again, because of the depth of that kicker was in front. It'd have been interesting if one of the Cambridge players had picked it up. But I think this will do them good. Some speed in and around the ruck.
You're offside 6.
O'Connor plays the ball. Here's Pete Forster again, and Forster up that right-hand side for Oxford. Batstone hugging the touchline. Bradley charges into the Cambridge defence, but he's well tackled. 4 tackles gone. Short pass, that was forward to Smyburton. Again, the anguish from this Oxford side.
And again, they're in the right part of the pitch. A simple ball, a forward pass, putting themselves under all kinds of pressure. Smyburton, though, they just seem to be getting down there. They're doing all the hard work to get there, but they're just not coming up with that last play.
First move.
McCormick quickly in to make the tackle on Rupert Wingate-Saul. Here's Joe Pitt-Rashid. He's lost the ball, and another knock on, and Oxford will get it back.
Let's see what they do with it when they get it back now. Chilton in the tackle, was the hand on the ball, but he's got to keep a tighter grip on the ball than that. The Oxford players going in, trying to wrap up the Cambridge player there. But this is going to be an important set of 6.
Here's Pete Forster, and Forster again away from the first, and the pass into touch behind Batstone. They've had so many efforts down that right-hand side. O'Connor tells Forster not to give up.
But Forster again, as soon as they get the ball, where do they head? They head to the sideline. They don't go forward. They're not making any direction move forward. They're trying to get the ball out wide to Batstone. They can't keep looking for that big play on tackle 1, 2 and 3.
Dan Garbutt down to the sidelines, I'm sure to send a message out via Tom Waterfield, last year's president, to get the message out there.
He'll be trying to send a message out to stop the rot. Once you make a mistake, sometimes you try to cover it up with something equally as risky or something even more risky. There are errors in these games that they're very much the order of the day, but both teams, they choose to play. There's a lot of significance on it from both sides, and if they lose all the games and win this one, they're happy enough.
Well, this time they have got it to Baxton, and he can't take the pass. Oh, dear me.
Dan Garbutt will be having absolute nightmares for the next couple of weeks. Paul O'Connor again going across the pitch, and you don't have to be a brain scientist to realise who they're trying to break free all the time.
I think there might well be a brain scientist out there somewhere. And just having a look, there's engineering, PPE, that's politics, philosophy and economics. I can't see any brain surgeons.
I studied that as well.
PPE?
Yes, I did.
No, you were in PE and RE. Is it a brain scientist or a brain surgeon?
Well, there's a brain scientist as well that has to examine the brain before the surgeon goes in.
Be interesting to know what the message was from Dan Garbutt. Ben Pro might be able to enlighten us.
Terry speculated, Bill, that the Oxford coach would be having nightmares. He just come running down the stairs behind me, and the message was, stop overplaying. That's exactly what Oxford are doing, and he wants it cut out.
That 2.
So we'll see whether they do stop overplaying it.
That composure is what you lose when you start to look at the scoreboard, you start to look at the clock, you lose your composure and you force things.
Well, Cambridge are forcing it now. It's with Schroeder. Schroeder, the pass out wide, and he couldn't find his winger, Will Brewster. The ball is in touch, and that's the best opportunity in this second half for the Cambridge side.
Man down.
A better pass would have put the winger, Brewster, in.
About 11 or so.
He's trying to look one way and pass another. A very skillful pass if you can master it, but we have an injury on the pitch.
Time off, scrum down anyway.
I think it's Hugh McCormick, is it? There's a touch of cramp.
Yeah.
Not surprising. So a breather for these two sides. And they'll welcome this respite because the pace has been pretty furious. Just 12 minutes to go.
Both teams have given it their all. Dan Garbutt, though, will be saying that the Oxford boys have just come out of a huddle. They just need to get up the other end of the pitch, complete a set of 6. They don't have to look for that big play. There's 12 minutes left in this game. And if you look at all the wasted chances and the wasted field position that they've had, if they would have just controlled that play, get to the set of 6 and try and take some energy away from this Cambridge side, the game's not over. There's 6 points in it, there's 1 score, and there's 12 minutes to go.
Hugh McCormick can't continue. Danny O'Driscoll is going to return to the fray for Oxford, who trail here 10 points to 4, Cambridge lead.
And Danny O'Driscoll there, who you can see on your screen, is not a bad player to bring on. He was big, he was strong, he was very agile in that first half, and he's probably a player they're going to need to look to try and get him that score and get him back in this game.
Perhaps the fact that they're concentrating on the score is taking away the focus. Don't worry about the scoreboard, don't worry about the time. Just work on knocking your sets out and build some pressure.
Forster across field. Pete Forster was recently picked for the South of England student squad, which was a big boost for him. Good defence from Cambridge to drive Charlie Rowe back. Rowe to his feet to play the ball. Quentin McFarlane. They go down the other side now and again can't take the ball, and Danny O'Driscoll puts that one down.
I've put the mockers on him. I built him up as soon as he come on. And it wasn't the best of passes, but it was an easy ball for Danny O'Driscoll to take there. But again, looking at playing wide, getting the ball, spreading the ball to the wing. And that's why Cambridge have been so good this afternoon. They've done the little basic things in and around the ruck in the middle 50 of the pitch, and they've took the energy away from this Oxford side.
Cambridge in possession. Stetchman plays the ball just on the Oxford 40-metre line. Here goes Brewster, sniping a little run from the winger.
Move, hold, go.
Now here's George Lang, looking very fresh and clean off the bench, the cleanest shirt out there. He'll have plenty of energy for the last 10 minutes here. Rupert Wingate-Saul finds Aaron Sonnenfeld, and Sonnenfeld back on the inside. They could be in here, they are in here. It's the try from the man from Malaga. Ignacio Quintana gets the try. And Cambridge celebrate what could be a crucial score in this close game. Arriba!
That off my mate Iggy, who I met last year, Ignacio Quintana. A good old try from him, he'll be happy with that. He wanted to score last year, he put his heart and soul into this game last year. They were on the wrong end of a defeat, but this time it looks like he's going to go home with that win. Just a clever little ball off Sonnenfeld. He's brought through his hand, watch how he goes through the line. He hands one off, he goes through, he knows that Ignacio's following him on the inside. The Oxford players just couldn't ground him. And I think they've wrapped up the game though, Cambridge.
John Evans down on the field, and Iggy Quintana, second varsity match for him, and a crucial try. He's an engineering student who specialises in fractures, as in, well, you studied it with him, of course. You can explain.
Yes, I actually went down, spent some time in the science labs with him, and I had to put him right on a couple of things as well. And I had to talk him through about how to work out formulas and Pythagoras and, you know, things like that.
That word pie again.
Yes, pie and cakes. But I'm sure Iggy's okay now.
Hunter's converted that try from Quintana, and applause from Hunt and from the Cambridge side. They lead by 16 points to 4.
I think that try from Cambridge came about by Oxford's errors and Oxford's lack of composure again. They're trying to score away from their own line. They're trying to get from the 20-metre line all the way to score the try, when all they have to do is a couple of low-risk play, kick the ball down and make this Cambridge side work away from their own line.
So Oxford now have a mountain to climb in the last 8 minutes here, and there will be, by the look of things, no 3 in a row for this Oxford side. They have never managed to win 3 in a row in the history of the Rugby League varsity match. Cambridge have done it before, Oxford haven't. They were intent on doing it tonight. It doesn't look as though it's going to happen.
Bill, they'll look back on this game, Oxford, and in their game of rugby league, you've got to control the ball, you've got to have the possession. They've given a penalty away now, which again they've got to do another set of 6, and this is where it's really hurt them, by the lost possession that they've got, the penalties that they've given away, and all they seem to have been doing is trying to defend and stop the Cambridge players, big guys, from coming forward.
So the penalty pushes Oxford deeper into their own half, and can Cambridge really put this one to bed now? Another try surely, and they can think of celebrating, although James Hunt won't be celebrating with that exam first thing. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, the poor guy's got an exam. Here's Shearman, he deserves a try. He's tackled just short, 10 metres short.
Come on.
Sykes now. Sykes breaks free from the first tackle. Iggy is in for a second, is he? No, he's held just short of the try line. And driven back, in fact, by the Oxford defence. Working hard, Oxford, right to the end. Rupert Wingate-Saul puts his foot down, thought he saw a gap there, but Oxford managed to close the door. Forster in with the tackle. He's very slowly to his feet, is the Cambridge number 7. Hunt stabs the kick in. Play on, says the referee. Oxford have it back. First knock on, he says.
Scrum down, Cambridge.
And it's a Cambridge head and feed at the scrum.
More pressure on this Oxford side. A lovely kick again. I think it's Quentin McFarlane, the hooker, the replacement hooker, who makes a stab at that ball. The referee judges it a knock on. And more pressure on Oxford. And you mentioned it at half-time, Phil. People criticise this fixture and ask why we do it. These will be the future masters of empire. These will be the people that are in charge of big organisations, big company. And through their experience of this varsity match, hopefully they'll come back, pump some money into our game and get involved financially.
Here's Rupert Wingate-Saul, James Hunt now, Schroeder on the crash ball, it was a forward pass. You talk about that, interestingly, in the pre-match meal, which was attended by 300 people. A lot of people who work in the city there, they need something to cheer them up at the moment. But A.D. Spencer was working the room, just recruited as London Business Development Manager by the RFL, and that's a very astute move. Former Cambridge University student, played in 4 varsity matches, just the sort of man you need, just to work on those contacts.
To spread the gospel of rugby league. Eddie Spencer was always a guy that was renowned with this sport. He signed and he played at the old London Broncos, the Harlequins club now as it's known, and he was really a player who made a name for himself in this game, and I'm sure there's guys out there who can really make a name for himself. Definitely Sherman, I think he's been exceptional tonight.
Oxford hoping to redeem something in the last 5 minutes here, but their winning sequence is coming to an end as McFarlane puts the kick in. Max Stetchman is underneath it, and Stetchman will run it back. Well, was that a voluntary tackle? He went onto his knees. Well, Cambridge winning this varsity match. There is another varsity match coming up at the end of this month at the Willows, in actual fact, and that should be quite a tasty affair, because Salford University will be taking on Manchester University in the Royal Navy Two Cities Challenge, the inaugural Royal Navy Two Cities Challenge. Those two universities from the northwest going head to head. That's on March the 24th at the Willows, and that promises to be a big event. Shearman right out the middle, the pass to nobody. What a tragedy that was. Play on, says that back to one. There was a hand in there.
It come off
Oxford.
The back of Badston.
Badston knocked it on. Bray has knocked it on. And
scrum down, Oxford.
Oxford get head and feed, but they really are finishing hotly.
James Sherman has had an outstanding game. So has Matt Bray, just in the screen. The captain for Cambridge, but he makes a lovely break. Prop forwards don't always know what to do when they break, but he tries to look for support. It hits Batstone on the back of the head. Thus, Cambridge get the ball back. That's a great shot from the Oxford defence.
Hold, go.
Well, Baxton there, he thought, well, it looked as though it was business as usual when he got that early try for Oxford. And a lot of people favoured Oxford here tonight, but Cambridge have been a lot tighter. They've had a lot of players back from last year, 11 survivors from last year's defeat, and that surely has helped their cause.
Leave it to me.
They were hurt last year. John Evans said last year that they've got to learn from the mistakes, and they've definitely learned from the mistakes tonight. The kicking game has been exceptional. But if there's any time now that this Oxford side need to throw the ball around, it's in this last 3 minutes. The game's beyond them, and this is the only time, really. The pressure's on now. They've got to come up with a result. The result's gone, but I'm sure they'd like to go away with a try.
Well, they're not going to at that rate. Phil Satterthwaite just managing to keep the ball. No, he hasn't. It's been snaffled by Cambridge again. Picked up by Aaron Sonnenfeld, and Sonnenfeld is probably the most recent recruit from rugby union to this Cambridge side, and he's got better as the evening has gone on, the centre.
First move. Hold.
Joe Pitt Rashid plays the ball. Here is Matt Bray.
Second. Move.
Bray, whose try got Cambridge back into this game in the first half. Sonnenfeld, the ball out wide to Joe Pitt-Rashid, and that try will wrap it up for Cambridge. Another of the newcomers to the squad, Joe Pitt-Rashid, gets the Cambridge Cougars cheering and the pom-poms flying, and Cambridge can celebrate a varsity match victory. Sewn up by that try by Joe Pitt-Rashid, the little number 14 who's come on and got on the end of that move.
He's looked wiry when he's come on. This has just all come about from field position and possession. They've got numbers out wide. All he does, Joe Pitt-Rashid, he just hugs his touchline. He knows that the ball's going to come. They're outnumbered, the Oxford defence, and that's an easy try for him, and a happy try. The Cambridge side, Bill, you mentioned it. John Evans there, very happy. He was disappointed last year, but he's got the result tonight.
And that try handed on a plate to Joe Pitt-Rashid by Aaron Sonnenfeld, the centre. And Hunt to really rub salt in the Oxford wounds with this one. And an immaculate goal-kicking performance from James Hunt. He'll be hoping that his exam performance tomorrow morning is as good. 100% so far from the boot of Hunt, but this is probably the trickiest kick he's faced, way out wide, and he's missed that one.
I hope he doesn't celebrate too long tonight, Bill.
He's not allowed to. He's the one Cambridge player who allegedly will not be celebrating, and the coach still not happy. Well, he must be happy.
He's got to be happy. It's been a real disciplined performance by Cambridge as well. They've showed great vision the way they played the game. The kicking game's been exceptional, and the players have just really turned up for each other.
Well, they are, as we've mentioned, they're on a roll. They've only lost one game in their division in the Student Rugby League this season, and they also went into this game on the back of a 24-20 win over Harlequins under-18s. Now that's no mean feat. They must be doing something right.
No, it isn't. The Harlequins under-18s are a very, very tough outfit. They coach very well under the astute guidance of Brian McDermott, but Cambridge have got that result.
The whistle blows and Cambridge celebrates. Martin Woodcock, another former Cambridge pupil, and there is James Sherman, and what a night it has been for this young man. Dedicated to the memory of his father gravely ill, and James Sherman determined to play in the game and determined to win it for his dad, and he has done just that. And now the emotions are pouring out, and the emotions will be felt among that Cambridge side. It means so much to them to win this varsity match, and they are justifiable winners.
James Sherman has done his dad so proud, and you can see the devastation on the Oxford players. But there you go, that's what you get from hard work. They've bounced back from a year of getting defeated. They got absolutely annihilated last year when they played here. I think it was 38 points to 10. But what a fantastic result to turn it around and only lose one game this year under the astute guidance of John Evans. But they'll be happy. They'll be happy tonight, Bill.
And Oxford, by contrast, a disconsolate bunch, but there is the winning coach, John Evans. Well, a draw in the cake competition, we decided, but certainly as far as the matters on the pitch, Cambridge winning that one. And no doubt about the man of the match in the eyes of Barry and Terry. They went for James Sherman, and we can now hear from him. He's with Ben.
James, a hugely emotional moment for you, a great victory, but I know that your father is gravely ill. He was desperate for you to play tonight.
Yeah, he was, and this one's for you, Dad. I'm so pleased we won. Yeah, this one's for you, Dad. Love you loads. I'll see you soon.
John, just to reflect on this, you've been the Cambridge coach for an awful long time. 2 defeats in 2008, 2007. How sweet is this victory?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a bit choked up because we've had a lot going on with James and a lot of other distractions as well, and they've been playing for 5 months. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there in rugby league land who think these guys just turn up and play one game a year. These guys have played 16 games of rugby league, including today. They played in France. We were in Australia this summer. There's 6 of those blokes toured Australia, playing against New South Wales students and Queensland students. We put a lot into rugby league at Cambridge University, as do Oxford. So I'm really pleased with what we did. I thought we'd win. I knew we had the ability, but what an ugly game of rugby league. I mean, that was a knock-on-a-thon. I must apologise to the viewers because, there was no cohesion to it. Ultimately, we were at the right part of the field at the right time. And we scored tries, and I think our energy levels were better at the end.
We've seen some varsity matches with entertainment and flair over the years on Sky Sports, but that really was a case of grinding one out, wasn't it?
And we spoke about that because we won our division in Booster against Notts Trent University 12-0, and we ground it out, and we scored penalties, and there's only 1 try scored, so we knew we could do that. We knew we could come from behind. We'd played Harlequins under 18s a couple of weeks ago and came behind from 16-6 to win, so we knew we could win games. It's just on the night that sometimes it can get on top of players. It is a very emotional night, Ben, especially what's happening with James, so I'll bid you good night, mate.
Thanks very much, John. Matt, more reaction to a great performance from Cambridge. Oxford, on paper, the stronger side. A lot of confidence before the game. How much of this is an upset?
Well, we knew it was going to be a tough game, and they always have a spurt late on. They brought in, some guys have come to the forefront recently, so we knew we had some bigger units to deal with. And they're obviously going to improve in the last couple of weeks because they're training a lot and all the rest of it. But we've been ready for this for a month at least, and we've had. There's only one of our guys that hasn't been with us since October last year, and in student rugby that's a long time to gel as a squad. And like that showed tonight, the experience just came through, I think.
And the confidence as well, because of course you've only lost 1 in your divisional campaign this year. Champions as well. How much did that boost the team going into today's match, which of course is the big one?
Yeah, exactly. We knew we've faced all sorts of scenarios. I mean, we've come from behind before. We came from behind against Harlequins Junior Academy. We knew we can do it, so we've stood behind the sticks and known that we've had to step it up a notch, and that's what we did tonight.
Thanks very much. Well done.
Thanks a lot.
So delight for the Cambridge side. Oxford, though, picking up their losers' medals. Well, they've enjoyed it for the last 2 years. Back-to-back wins for them. Kevin Nicholas, their president of the RFL, handing those losers' medals over. Oxford, as I said, have won it for the last 2 years, and they were desperate to make it 3 in a row. They really were, and they were convinced that they could do that, but not to be tonight, because this Cambridge side have denied them that. And James Shearman earns his man of the match prize there. A well-earned award for him, for the former Arnold School in Blackpool pupil, and so they'll be delighted there at Arnold School. And that's KJ Lee Trophy, donated by the father of a former varsity match player, waiting there to be awarded to the Cambridge side. Meanwhile, they get their winners' medals, and Kevin Nicholas, alongside him Carl Williams from P Cubed, and you can just see in the corner of the shot there David Oxley, I think that is, just there we go, that's David Oxley, the chairman of the Student Rugby League. There he is at the end of the line, David Oxley, a great supporter of Student Rugby League, great supporter of the game, of course, David Oxley, and here tonight as ever to join in the medal ceremony. And I know that Maurice Olroyd, another great supporter of the varsity matches here as well, hasn't missed a varsity match in all the 29 years it's been played, and neither is Jock McConnell, the man from New Zealand who was one of the instigators of the varsity match. The pair of them are here as well. And now Matt Bray gets his medal, and he will lift the KJ Lee Trophy. Carl Williams presents it to him, and celebrations for Cambridge University, winners of the 2009 varsity match, the 29th varsity match. And Cambridge extend their lead in the competition. They have now won the varsity match 16 times, and Oxford have won 12. There's been the one draw, that was in 1995, a 20-all draw, but well, for a moment there probably was a possibility of a draw tonight. 10-4 it was for a long time, Oxford pressing, and there was just the suspicion that we might be heading for a draw, but then Cambridge eventually getting away with it and running out convincing winners, and there they are. Well, there'll be big celebrations tonight apart from poor old James Hunt. And there's Hunt getting his hands on the trophy, and he'll be early in bed tonight. That exam at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. But Oxford, meanwhile, imagine a disconsolate bunch. Their winning sequence has come to an end. I think now we can hear from their coach, Dan Garbett.
Dan, as Cambridge celebrate in the background, what went wrong tonight?
I just think there's a lot of errors really. I think they played the basics better than we did. They actually worked a bit harder than we did in terms of hitting in behind the rock, and they just sort of made easy ground through there. And I just think, a bit disappointing really. I think the lads could have played a bit better. They know it. But all credit to Cambridge, they were fantastic, absolutely brilliant. They worked really hard, they tackled hard, and we didn't get a lot of chances, but they gave us the chance. They made their errors, and we didn't capitalise on it. I think that was the biggest issue.
And the chance to make 3 in a row for the first time goes away as well. But you did have a lot of possession.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It wasn't like we totally didn't have any ball. I just think that when we made errors at the wrong times, and we weren't as composed as they were. I think they had a bit more composure. They were a bit better, looking after the ball and actually respecting it a little bit more. And these things happen. But the lads will bounce back. They'll come back from it. And like I say, I think it really needs to be credit to them. They actually outplayed us, I think, and that needs to be made. The point made. It's not a case of us sort of missing out or us making errors too much. It's really them. They played well and they did the basics well, and as John's sides always do, and that was just how it happened, really.
Thanks very much, Dan. Thanks for talking to us.
Ben, cheers. Thanks.
Dan Garbett accepting defeat gratefully, and there's confirmation of that 20 points to 4 scoreline. Oxford with the try from Batstone early on, getting them off to a great start, but Cambridge really came back strongly, took control of the game, 10-4 for a long time, but then those tries from Quintana and Pit Rashid easing Cambridge to victory. James Hunt's boot contributing as well. 4 from 5 he kicked, and Cambridge winners by 20 points to 4. Well, we saw in the presentation ceremony the chairman of the Student Rugby League, David Oxley, and we can hear from him now. He's with Ben.
David, as a witness to every one of these varsity matches, how did the 2009 vintage compare?
I think it rated very highly. We've always had tremendous physical context and tremendous courage and commitment, but I think there was a high quality football, particularly in the first half tonight. Got a bit tired in the second because they take so much out of each other. But I thought technically it's a real game of mature rugby league now, and that was ranked as one of the best. The first 40 especially.
And with your experience of Oxbridge, how important are these varsity matches?
Oh, tremendous. I think they're a great boost for Student Rugby League. I think they're great watching for the viewers. And, of course, for the teams concerned, it's the one match that matters. You can lose all the rest of the season, win this one, you're home and dry. As it happens, Cambridge are unbeaten this season. And congratulations to them on a great win. And I'm an Oxford man that says it.
Very gracious. Cambridge, yes, as you say, I think they only had one loss, I should say, this season. But Oxford playing in a slightly higher division, do you think that made a difference?
Yes, I think it did. And in the first half, I thought Oxford were going to play with them with a lot of mistakes. Under pressure, actually, from Cambridge, to be fair. I thought the fitness levels were quite remarkable. And some of the hits are tremendous, some big players out there. So I think as an event, it's grown over the years into something really rather special.
Thanks very much, David.
Thank you.
And it's a big weekend for Student Rugby League, of course, and we'll talk about that maybe in a minute, because we've got Loughborough and Leeds Met in action in the Challenge Cup. But as far as tonight goes, I think the general consensus is that Cambridge worthy winners.
Absolutely, and Dan Garbett very gracious in defeat there, admitting that he was beaten by the better side. I think that try really on from Batstone maybe led them into that false sense of security. They tried on numerous occasions to get on the outside of Cambridge, but just couldn't do it. They were really still. I think they were really still in the middle. They controlled that ruck, and through players like Sherman, through players like Hunt, they were very dominant and deserved the victory.
And 10-4, the game was evenly balanced, wasn't it? And you did think there was a possibility of a draw. There was so little in it, but then Cambridge, they got on top. They lasted better, didn't they?
I think they stuck to their original plan, which was just to keep bashing away at the middle, keep taking some energy. And John Evans talked about the energy battle. He felt his side won the energy battle come the end of the match. They were able to take advantage and go in with a couple of late tries.
Well, let's have a look at those tries now. And Cambridge earned those, didn't they?
They did, with the pressure that they put on. They weren't afraid to spread that ball, but they ran direct, they ran strong, and they took advantage of their opportunities. It's Quintana who gets over for that second try. And here, right on the death, Pit Rashid just gratefully receives the ball and puts it down in the corner. But that try and the try before that were patient tries, and what they really did is they pressured. They kept going, they run strong, they kept it right in that middle channel, and as I said, Sherman was outstanding.
And did they do the simple things better than Oxford, maybe?
I think so, and both coaches were almost apologising for the knock-ons and the errors that were in the game, but we sort of expect those in a varsity match. We forgive the players because, you know, we accept that they are learning the game. I mentioned 16 games of rugby league. A lot of these players that play nowadays, playing Super League and the Championship, you know, they have hundreds and hundreds of games under the belt. So to play at a level like this with you know, probably 40, 50 games is pretty good stuff.
As you'll see from Barry's tie that Oxford colours there, and you're taking defeat very graciously.
I just enjoyed a good game of rugby league, and as I said, you know, it's about the bigger picture. It's about those players who've come and experienced our game and hopefully putting some money back in.
Well, while Barry is deep in the depths of despair over that result, down on the sideline is a jubilant Terry O'Connor, who's in the Cambridge camp, of course.
Yeah, Terry, the Cambridge tie proudly sported. You were in the Cambridge camp last year. What did they do right this year that they didn't 12 months ago?
Ben, they probably controlled the ball last year, that they were just totally beaten by an Oxford side that wanted the game a lot more, and Simon Dewsbury's a massive loss for them. Number 13 who played last year, everything come off the back of him, the kicking game, the go forward, the organisation skills that he had in and around the ruck area. But you just look at the Cambridge players and they've come back. They were really hurt last year. John Evans was so disappointed to get beat. They were getting beat 28 points to nil at half time, and they just didn't turn up for the races. But today, the big guys have done it up the middle of the pitch, and James Sherman, I thought today, was absolutely exceptional. The amount of yardage he was making, the big tackles he was doing, he was just totally dominating the opposites in the Oxford side, and that's why they've come up with the result.
Thanks, Terry.
Cheers, Ben.
So Terry O'Connor leading the Cambridge celebrations. Well, I mentioned a short time ago, big weekend for Student Rugby League because, of course, Leeds Met and Loughborough University is involved in the next round of the Challenge Cup. And Loughborough at Halifax, Leeds Met face Rochdale at Headingley, and that is a tempting prospect, isn't it?
All the professional sides, the championship sides, know that there's a potential banana skin whenever those amateur clubs come into the competition. But Paul Fletcher has done a tremendous job with Leeds Met over the years. Loughborough, you know, the sports science is becoming more of an issue, more of a factor in our sport. So maybe they might come up with a scientific formula on how to beat the respective sides.
So Rochdale might be a little bit anxious about that one then?
I would say so. I mean, whenever you're playing against a lesser opponents and you're the more fancied team and you're against it, then, you know, anything can happen, even if it's 1,000,000 to 1.
It could be a big weekend then for Student Rugby League, and some big fixtures coming up in Super League. And that begins on Friday at the Gal Farm. Well, Huddersfield Giants take on Hull FC. That's at 7:30 on Sky Sports 2, available on HD2.